Getting into more Fallstreak? Here's what happened on the previous episode. Whatever do you mean, father? When did you realize your voice sounds a little bit odd? Thumbs up. She didn't give me a thumbs up. So left out. After going a separate ways with Lorona and the lyrics at the Strange Bend, Melina and I spot two figures in the distance as we near the Rue cabin. It was Brezel and Mr. Demalure, Papa's proverbial right hand. As they draw near, I take note of a big pot in Brezel's hands. Brezel, I'm back. What's in the pot? Oh, it's empty. It's not. Huh? How did you know? Who would lug an empty pot along like that, Brezel? Me? I can smell it. Did you make pasta? Yeah. But you can't eat it. Why not? Based on Adelite's inquiring gaze, Brezel shifts uncomfortably. Well... Seeing that he's struggling, Mr. Demalure chooses then to speak up. Your brother is still learning Charlotte. He made several errors with his batch, and therefore does not wish to share it. I believe he wants to make sure it's perfect before sharing it with you. Oh. You'll make something as good as Mr. Demalure? Yeah, it might take a while, but look forward to it. Okay, I'll wait for you. These two have such a cute relationship, it makes me a bit jealous. You offered to take Brezel as an apprentice in either the sword or the culinary arts, right, Mr. Demalure? I think it's nice he chose to go with cooking. I am of the same opinion. With how transparent Brezel was, anyone could tell he chose the path of cooking so he could cook lots of pasta to make his sister happy. Though I hope he branches out eventually. Nolita really needs to start eating her veggies. All I eat is pasta. I mean, I ate pasta all the time, like every damn day for a while, but it got boring after a while. By the way, Mr. Demalure, why do you else even use swords in the first place? One would imagine much deadlier weapons could be produced with UL technology. Quite observant of you, shouted Aid. As the oldest member of the Lost Children, I remember a time when our homeland used firearms known as guns to fight. They enabled you to kill someone with the simple pull of a finger, making even children deadly combatants in war. When the calamities overrode the laws of our world, many of the projectile weapons we depended on lost their effectiveness. However, that did not end our wars. Our homeland simply took up the sword to continue its bloodshed. Do not be mistaken though, UL arms and armor are produced from state-of-the-art technology. Our weapon theory has been forged in the flames of countless wars. For example, the Lost Children's signature weapon, the Reaper Blade. A peculiar double-edged curved sword that enabled the user to deliver crippling low-line cuts from unconventional angles. Oh yeah, this came up in class, but do you know what the Verloran Master's name was? Master's name? Mr. Demalure makes a difficult expression at my question. She didn't have one. Huh? I was like most people in the war, someone who was dropped onto the battlefield. But Master was different. She was born on the battlefield. The closest thing she had a name was her call sign. I see. Names don't seem like the hottest trend in the unknown lands. A name is something that should be treasured. I've come to understand that after serving under one who has never known that simple blessing. Something we take for granted, something we should take for granted. Yet it could not be said everyone possessed that small, ordinary treasure. In any case, the young master will not be returning tonight, Xiao Aid, so allow me to prepare you dinner for today. Oh? Leaving me all by my lonesome again? What an awful papa. On the contrary, it is because the young master is thinking of you that he sent me here. I do have some business to attend to beforehand though, so I shall be taking my leave for now. Well, if I'm hungry right now. With that, Mr. Demalure melts into the shadows of sunset, leaving the three of us behind. You can go ahead and play with Aid, Nolita. I'm tired, so I'm going to go in and rest. Why? You'll get lonely. What? No, I won't. You will. No. You will. It's awkward moment. I think there's a way to take off this box. I can't remember. Okay. That wasn't it. Okay. Back where it was. Oh well. Why don't you play with us too, Brezel? Then no one will be lonely. But I need to find out why I messed this badge up. Mr. Demiller said I had to figure it out. Is that so? Let's do that together then. I'm pretty good at critiquing. Croquet? Was that what I was thinking about? Critiquing food, you know. Okay. AIDS criticizing is scary though. Don't worry, if you cry for over 10 minutes, I'll stop. Why only if it's more than 10 minutes? Having persuaded Bristle, the three of us set off towards my house. It must be nice having a big brother that looks after you, Nolita. Bristle looks after me? Nolita makes a mystified expression as if I had just claimed pigs were flying through the sky. No, I'm the one that looks after Bristle. But don't make him eat, he goes hungry without saying anything. If I don't hold his hand, he can't fall asleep. Look at him, he's like, oh my god, shut up, lady! He gets lonely and cries easily, he has trouble opening jars. Oh my lord! Really, dude? Really? Nolita, why are you telling Aid? Don't worry, I already know most of those things. That's not all. Nolita always chases away anyone that bullies Brezel. Isn't that right, big brother Brezel? I tease Brezel in a sing-songy voice, causing him to pucker up like a sad puppy. Aww. Are you bullying Brezel right now, Aid? Yep, so you better chase me away. Okay. Chase her? In a comical turn of events, Brezel starts chasing after Nolita, who is chasing after me. Hey. Ooh, too slow. It was true that Nolita always seemed to be taking care of her awkward older brother. They're all awkward. Don't just put awkward in front of him. Having someone to look after that was a treasure in its own right. Being an only child, it made me a bit envious. Why are you like this, Nolita? It was a peaceful scene, being pursued by a pair of silly siblings beneath the evening sun. This ordinary daily life, full of tiny miracles. I hope that tomorrow will be just as golden as what allows me to accept today must end. Every book always ends in the exact same way. A cut page. From zero and back to zero, huh? The blank pages found at the end of a story never failed to fill me with a gaping sense of emptiness. The end of an adventure. The freezing of time in the world encapsulated by the book. It made me feel lonely thinking the author's pen had stopped, leaving the characters trapped in a limbo of unwritten inaction. Alright, make me feel bad about my own book writing skills. Jesus. The characters in a book cannot move without a writer's conception and a reader's acknowledgement. Forever bound by the unseen script of a god they can never know of, they exist as nothing unless imbued by the will of that god. I really shouldn't read another. Though it's getting quite late in the night, I don't want to stop reading. The feeling of emptiness that a book's end instills can be filled by starting a new book after all. Just like a thin finger turning back a page, or perhaps like taking a second volume into one's hand. So long as the sorrowful reader continues to reject reality, the story will go on forever. A nursery rhyme from the New World where the lonely me fell in love with a book. Characters she'd been with throughout their entire lives, dear companions she had come to form a bond with. Yet, at the book's end, they could no longer stay by her side. So the lonely me asked the sorrowful me for another dream, another meeting, and another parting. A cruel poison, a sweet and necessary pain. That is what stories are. I rub my tired eyes as I gaze out the window into the quiet night. The illuminating warmth of the sun had faded long ago, draping the land in uncertain darkness. Everything is cozier in candlelight. When the real world goes fuzzy, the world on the page grows sharper. Nothing eases poison down the throat better than emptiness. An empty, unchanging world so much like that of the Golden Dream. It always filled me with uneasy restlessness, being alone like this. Now it was many hours later and I was still up in Mother's room. That's right. Whenever I read the books Mother left behind, a warm feeling always wells up inside me. A feeling I'm always reluctant to let go of. Though, this wasn't actually her room. When she died, we moved away from the house where she once lived. This room merely held all the books that once belonged to her. Papa had brought them along, not wanting to leave them behind to gather dust in the old house. The Golden Dreams archive dwarfed it, but it lacked the soul that laid in Mother's private collection. Pages that carried a distinct scent, bindings worn by the passage of time. Within the crinkled sheets there laid a certain feeling. A wistful kind of despair, one that denied a reality that was far too cruel. Hey, Mother. The lonely me. That person was you, wasn't it? I've always wanted to ask about her, but whenever I do, it hurts Papa. With a pained expression, he would go silent and look down as if gazing at words too shattered to pick off the ground. All I knew was that the day we commemorated her death was the same as my birthday. My 10th birthday coincides with the 10th anniversary of her death. In other words, she had died on the same day I was born. Mother's story ended when mine begun. A face I did not know, but one I've always longed to touch and behold. Sometimes I want to imagine her face coming alive, laughing when reading something funny, or crying when reading something sad, but I can't. Because to me, she doesn't have a face. Even Papa is afraid her face is fading from his mind's eye. For me though, Mother did not exist as a person. Having never known of her, she was nothing more than a nebulous concept, a vague warmth that I couldn't give form to, no matter how much I wished to. The only form of connection I had with her were these books. Why? Why won't you tell me anything, Papa? I heave a heavy sigh. It's about time I call it a day. I'll sleep here tonight as well. Sometimes I wonder if the blankets and pillows here see more use than the ones in my actual bedroom. Extinguishing the nearby candles, I retreat under my covers and stare up the dark ceiling. I guess Kelly was right about me being a book-inhaling brain slug. With a little chuckle, I boop an imaginary Kelly on the nose before shutting my eyes to the world. Man, that got deep. This game like has its ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster ride. To really know if it's gonna depress one moment or make you laugh the next. That really made me laugh. It's just like silly kids doing nonsense things, you know? A certain restlessness always pervades the air the day of school before the weekend. But today was even livelier than usual. That's right. This is the day we do the bridge building. Oh god. Okay, someone's obviously crushing a bridge. Yay, bridge building! My bridge finally broke! You're not supposed to want your bridge to break, dummy! Looks like we have our last two contestants, Adelise and the Lyrit twins. That's a pretty gutsy design, Aid. The suspension bridges are tricky to build. Guess you've done your fair share of research too. Indeed, though the tension cables that suspension bridges utilize were known for their highly efficient weight to load-bearing ratio, working with them had been a great source of headache throughout the day. Looks like you went with the truss bridge, a pretty safe choice for the risk-taking Lyrit twins. It's all about the fundamentals when it comes to this kind of thing. It's already clear at this point who the winners will be. Wonder what kind of prize we'll be receiving. You sure you want to declare victory so prematurely? It'll make your upcoming loss sting much more, you know. Ooh. Gross. Just as the two of us square off and start laying down trash talk, Triss suddenly belches loudly, completely ruining the mood. Oh, Triss. Ugh, could you be any more uncool? In the final stage, we will simultaneously add weights to each bridge at regular intervals until we get to the last bridge standing. Are the finalists ready? The class cheers as the promised time arrives at last. let's do this. Me and Trish will be the ones taking home the win today. The only thing you'll be taking home is the remnants of your trust. Who'll be the ones to claim today's special prize? Will be the plucky Lyric twins or the cunning Adelise? The time has come to determine the winner of today's bridge construction contest. This is it. Final showdown. The three of us watch over our bridges intently as intimidating new masses are headed to their already bulging payloads. Each time they successfully withstand the mounting pressure, a breath of relief resound through the tense classroom, which had fallen unnervingly silent compared to its previous commotion. Methodically, slowly, our bridges are placed under such duress, their frames begin to deform from the strain. Time seems to slow to a crawl as a foreboding feeling that the upcoming wait would be the moment of truth grips me. Then, just as the weight in question is added, the sound of splintering wood echoes through the air as someone's bridge finally gives in. Shocked silence swelled up within the room at the deciding instant. Good grief. A single voice spoke. A conclusion has been reached. The winner is the dog that's barking in the distance. The Lyric twins. The room explodes in cheers and cries at the declaration of the victor. No, it can't be true. I gazed down in disbelief upon the remnants of my sweet toil. Creation and destruction, such transient beauty. I knew it could have come to this, and yet it still wounds me. With the swagger of an undisputed champion, Kelly utters the ultimate words of victory. Good game. Easy. As the decisive winners, would you care to elaborate on your success to the class, Kelly? What do you think was the most important thing to keep in mind in regards to design decisions? There's one thing that should have been the center of focus. It was the rule that all bridges must be under a certain weight limit. Though your bridge really did have a sturdy weight to load-bearing ratio aid, it didn't approach the weight limit that was given for the contest. I noticed that as well, but it was difficult for me to do anything about it. That's because suspension bridges are tough to reinforce after the first build. It's hard for you to do much with the wiggle room you end up with if it doesn't reach the cap right away. I see. And can you tell us why you two chose the design that you did? Chris and I decided that a truss bridge was the best design for taking advantage of the limit. Truss bridges are made almost all out of triangles, which are the simplest and strongest shape. Triangles are strong because they're hard to deform. Like if you push on the corner of a square, you can easily turn it into a shape like a rhombus, right? But if you put a single diagonal bar inside the square and basically turn it into two triangles, it becomes really hard to change its shape. Also, since triangles are the simplest shape with only 3 sides, it's easy to reinforce a truss bridge. Damn, I'm learning shit. I don't even know what a truss bridge is. Triangle is indeed a central building block in construction. It appears you are learning much from your father, Autun Lyrit. Hey, that's cheating though! Just did a good job trimming weight off parts that we didn't need. We used a lot of smart tricks like using the smallest amount of glue possible to connect the bridge parts. This was done by using a dab of glue and binder clips to make sure it attached strongly. At the end of the day, this project was all about milking as much as you could out of the bridge weight limit. Wow, you do make such a cool team when you work together. It's definitely why you won. As much as it pains me to concede defeat, I can't define their groundwork is impressively well thought out. Guess my bridge couldn't handle the suspension. Well played, you two. I'm pretty sure a bridge could hold even more if we wanted to. Oh. Perhaps wanting to test your point, Trish reaches out and gingerly wraps their bridge with his knuckle, causing it to instantly collapse. It broke. Not even close, baby. Edging over to block the sand with her body, Kelly gives Triss a stomp to the foot for good measure as he stands dumbfounded with his hands still suspended in midair. Somehow, I feel really tired all of a sudden. While losing on the cusp of glory makes me somewhat salty, I have to admit their methods were on point. Just goes to show the value of being taught by someone with experience over simply reading about in a book. As promised, I will now award you to your prize. With the light movements characteristic to handling something delicate, Mr. Nero unveils something from its valise and lowers it into Tristan's hands. Murmurs of awe could be heard as the class hurriedly crowded around the object in question. This is an ornamental hair clip created from the blazing orange feathers of the phoenix oriole, a species thought to have gone extinct since the fire collapse. It's like it's on fire. Burning up. Mr. Naru always gives the coolest things. While the class was clearly enraptured, one person also alone seemed detached from the clamor. The person whose reaction you'd expect to be yelling at Triss to let her see it already. But instead she gazes on wordlessly from a distance. However, Triss doesn't fail to notice this. Taking the feathered adornment in his hand, he sidles up to his sister and with an indiscreet motion clips it onto her head. What are you doing all of a sudden? But Triss just smiles dumbly in response. Do you remember, Triss? The bedtime story she once told us? The story of the Rainbow Crow? Without a hint of hesitation, Triss nods. You know, right? Even though it wasn't the truth, she wanted to let us know of a happy ending. That's why we have to, with all we've got, we have to. A girl who couldn't take hold of anything even as it lay right before her, and a boy who couldn't make his unspoken heart heard. It was a scene that captured the essence of the relationship between the Lyrit twins. Just as Kelly acted as Triss's voice when he could not voice himself, Triss acted as Kelly's hands when she could not reach out. It was a nuanced bond, one would never guess it, with how they were always messing around with each other. We did it, Triss. Don't get too smug, though. This is just the beginning. Smiling faintly, they lightly bump heads for the forehead 5. Not so hard, dummy. Somehow it's really heartwarming. Me too! Oh god. She just like headbutt the shit out of someone? Ding ding ding! Here's her enthusiasm to join their 485 session. The Lorona missile had knocked the Lyrit twins out of commission. Sure, good big sis Lorona 485s. It's not fair. Blub blub blub. I think the answer to that question is self-evident. Sibling love is not something to be underestimated. Kalia, Triss, they make me proud. They've come such a long way from the dark place they were in 2 years ago. Alright class, though it's been an eventful day, it's not over yet. We have quite a bit to clean up. Everything is squeaky clean if you want to get to the real fun. An air of unrest pervaded the room as students ran about, tidying things up to the best of their ability. But the reason was far from being because everyone was anticipating being let out for the day. Rather, everyone was looking forward to staying as long as they possibly could. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for. With Rowena at his side, Mr. Naru gestures over their iconic Valis. Games Day! Everyone shouts out in chorus as Rowena flips open the Valis. A flurry of balloons floods out all at once, blanketing the floor of the school. Not even the ceiling was spared as dozens of helium-filled ones flew into the air. It really was living up to Triple's reputation as a whole to another dimension. For today's game, we will be playing a special version of Capture the Flag, inspired by an event yesterday that none shall speak of. The class will be divided into 2 teams of players. Each player will have a balloon tied around their waist that signifies their life. If that balloon is popped, such as by an opposing team member, you'll be counted as being slain. After your balloon is popped, you cannot rejoin the game until you return to your team base and acquire another balloon for your team's allotted stockpile. The objective is to force the enemy team to deplete their balloon supply while protecting your own. Additionally, each team base will have a special flag that can be captured by the enemy team. A successful capture means that the opposing team must pop 10 of the balloons in their stockpile. Is there anything else you'd like to know? What do we get for winning? More rapt at attention than any lecture you could ever hope to give, the class screams out in unison. First off, a team will be counted as losing if all the balloons worn and stored on its sides are popped. The losing team must accept a punishment of inhaling helium until their voice becomes squeaky. Once that is done, the other teams get the exclusive right at dictating what must be voiced during that duration. Everyone quivered at the possibility of being forced to endure such humiliation. Yet at the same time, there's no denying the tantalizing prospect of reveling in the shame of the defeated. I will now announce the teams. I'm gonna pretend that I read this because I can't remember if I did read it or not, but okay. Yet at the same time, there's no denying the tantalizing prospect of reveling in the shame of the defeated. I will now announce the teams. After Mr. Naru finishes assigning the teams, I quickly survey what we had to work with. On my team, the blue team, were Tristan, Lerona, and Nolita, along with Lemmy and Annabelle. I vote to make Aid our team captain. The moment we assemble, Lerona immediately makes that suggestion. Looking around, I see everyone nodding in approval. Leave it to me. I nod back, emboldened by everyone's unwavering confidence in me. Foremost in my thoughts were how to deal with the red team's aces, Kalia and Arena. One might think our team would be an advantage against the armless Kalia and unseeing Arena, but they would be far from correct. Kalia was an unmatched speed demon that could run circles around us without getting caught, with her mobility allowing her to switch between attack and defending quickly. The only thing that gated her was that she was needed to team support to secure objectives. As for Arena, I was convinced that she was a bat or something because when she got heated up, she moved more like someone who could see an additional dimension rather than nothing. Arena's physical capabilities were also out of this world, with there being little doubt she could take anyone in a straight one-on-one. That being said, she was the other extreme from Kalia, being unable to maneuver around the battlefield too well with her vision impairment. Though her anti-personnel was peerless, she lacked offensive presence in regards to win conditions like raiding stockpiles and capturing flags, meaning we'd likely find her on base defense. As for our team, we had Triss, a slower but more prudent departure from Kalia, whose aggressive nature and quickness made him ideal for blitzing. Nolita, on the other hand, was cool-headed and resilient, with her sluggish speed making her more suited to holding down the fort. Lastly, Lerona didn't have any noteworthy strengths of her own, but her aptitude for working on a team was difficult to overstate. She always seemed to have a good nose for recovering teammates when they got themselves in a pinch, which made her synergize well with risk-takers like Triss or Kalia. After breaking down our strengths and weaknesses, I assembled a strike team of 3 consisting of Lerona, Triss, and me, with Nolita, Annabelle, and Lemmy making up the base defense team. Everyone knows the rule, right? Let's get out there and do some damage! Bringing from our huddle with the battle cry, I look over at the red team to see how they are faring. Just to confirm, the balloons are positioned around everyone's lower back, correct? That's right, just give it a nice kick and it should go pop. Without breaking someone's spine, please. A toothy grin could be seen on Kelly's face as she warmed up by kicking the air around what would be someone's eye level. Well, that's something to look forward to. Who's ready to win? Turning back to my team, I stretch my hand to the air to rally them. We are! Morale was already skyrocketing through the roof. Unable to contain our energy any longer, we rush outside the school building to set up base for the upcoming clash. As we do, I begin to give out more detailed directives regarding our lineup. Tactical command of base defense will fall on Nolita. Nolita, the flag, and stockpile are separate locations to make sure at least one person is guarding each at all times. Assign the quickest person to pressure relief should one location get focused down. Okay. Are you sure she understood that? I don't think I understood that. This measure was necessary since I'd be concentrating my attention on directing the strike team. Tell us what to do, Nolita. We won't let them through. Triss, I want you to be the strike team's vanguard. Don't make any attempts on objectives unless I order it. Just concentrate on picking someone off on their base defense. Once you poke a hole in the enemy's defenses, I'll direct how we push in. Triss shivers with excitement as he takes a deep breath and nods. The Lyrids thrived under high pressure of spearheading assaults, jumping on opponents the moment they showed a window of vulnerability. It was very much a high-risk reward form of approach, which is why the support-savvy Lerona was invaluable for safely securing any leverage we generated. Lerona, be sure to stick close to Triss so you can follow up to his takedowns and back him up if he gets blindsided. Okay. Be prepared to commit a full-on assault on my signal. After going over defensive contingencies, should our base be overrun, I turned to survey the battlefield. Our strike team was a highly concentrated one. Rather than spreading out our attackers, they aimed to overwhelm and spill into one section of the enemy's base. As such, it was good for surgical strikes and maintaining offensive momentum should even a single defensive rampart fall. The main reason I selected this team composition was because it was well equipped at avoiding Arena and attacking the areas she wasn't defending. This comp did have its share of weaknesses though. It was easier for the enemy to surround us and had weak ambient battleground presence for deterring attacks or relieving pressure on our own base. A lot depended on Lolita's base defense to hold the line for the strategy to be successful. Oh god. Do I trust her? Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and if you enjoyed it, leave a like and hit the sub for more walkthroughs, playthroughs, and let's plays on the gaming experience.